This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Nick Bramley. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful morning?
I'm doing fantastically well, Angel, thank you. Not so beautiful where I am because it's snowing.
Oh my, I'm so sorry about that, Nick. I'm so sorry about that. I must say, it is raining sunshine in the Caribbean, but let's not do that, yes?
Okay, no problem.
So what part of the world are you in right now?
I'm in the north of England, in the beautiful city of York.
Well, do tell me, Nick, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
I guess my focus, really. I'm trying in 2019 to be much more proactive on things like podcasts and LinkedIn and external presentation of my skill set. So I sort of focused on achieving that, and this is part of that activity, really.
So yeah, let's dig into that. Who did you learn that skill from, that ability to focus and hit a target?
Well, my background is in sales and always has been, so I've always been very target driven, but I've worked with some really interesting and effective people over my time. I'm now a man of a certain age, so the exact credit, I can't remember who that credit goes to exactly, but it's probably a combination of people that I've worked with, systems that I've seen, people who I've appreciated how successful they've been, and you absorb a number of elements of that over a number of years of working in different environments, I guess.
Well, tell us more about what you do, Nick.
Okay. Well, I'm perceived as a sales professional, a sales expert. I don't think anyone died and made me important enough to call me a guru, because people do occasionally do that and it's quite embarrassing. But my background is very much in sales and helping organizations to improve their performance in the sales environment. So whether it's through training, through strategy, through working with their senior teams or their practical sales teams on training, coaching, mentoring, support. That's the buzz that I get, and that's the niche that I try and continue to develop.
Now, what's the best way for someone that's listening to connect with you?
Best way to connect with me, I guess, initially is on LinkedIn. I'm very active on there, so if somebody put Nick Bramley in there, I'm sure I'd come up very high. There is a guy who runs a manufacturing business in England, but he's a bit lower than me on the rankings because I don't think he's got an active profile. So LinkedIn's always a good start. I've got, 4,000 connections now, and I actively sort of manage that on a day-to-day basis. So that would be good.
You've been doing sales for quite a bit. Why will you continue to repeat that skill of, helping others with what they do from that consultant space?
Well, I think sales is about good practice and it's about repetition. What I find is that when people make sales complicated and put too many steps in the process, that's when it invariably isn't as successful as it should be. So what I often do is I strip back their sales processes and look at the very basics. Who are you trying to target? What are you trying to achieve? How are you going to get at them? And how are you going to set yourself apart from the competition? So it's the practicalities of that. Don't make it complicated. Repeat what works and take feedback. If things are not working, don't keep repeating it. Look at what might change to make a difference.
How much do you love what you do?
Oh, every day. Every day, Angel. Basically, this week I've been all over the place. I've been working with a manufacturing team on Monday, working in their boardroom with their senior leadership team. I've been speaking at a conference in Berlin. I've been working with an organization helping their telephone sales team. And every day is a different challenge, but a different buzz. I absolutely love what I do, and I'm still, despite my advancing years, energized by the whole process. I love it.
That's great to hear. Well, do tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, Nick.
What I've done consistently is, well, people have described me as enthusiastic and energized. And so consistently every day, I look at what my plan is in terms of how I'm going to influence my own sales. So I will look and I will say, who do I need to speak to today? What am I going to speak to them about? I manage and maintain a very disciplined approach to my own sales development. So every day I'm looking at influencing sales, whether it's making a couple of strategic phone calls or some follow-up emails or creating an external piece of content like a blog for the website, for example. So every day I'm doing at least one thing to influence sales, and that happens to be something that's been very successful for growing my business.
How does it make you feel being a guy of age, as you call yourself, right? And advancing in age, as you said, right? How does it make you feel looking over the expanse of time to see where you were then to where you are today?
Well, it's interesting because I sort of fell into a sales role probably when I was mid-20s, and I'm now mid-50s. I fell into a sales role, and the minute I was in that environment, I thought, and people were kind enough to say I had a natural aptitude for it, but I didn't ever set out to be in that particular environment. So I look back now and I think I had an aptitude, but I didn't really know. I didn't know what I didn't know, if that makes sense. So I spent my working career just developing my skill set, and I look back and I think, yeah, that's. I've had a fantastic career to date so far, loving what I do for the last 30 years, and by accident. But I would repeat every piece of it. There's nothing I would look back on and say I wouldn't do that.
No regrets. Love it.
None.
Why would you suggest to someone that's listening that they do that? And not specifically go be a salesman, but from the perspective of, approaching what some term as failures with an advancing style.
Well, I think what you've got to look at, you've always got to learn and look at what works and what doesn't work. Don't get me wrong, not everything I've touched has turned to gold in the last 30 years. There's been some things that, haven't worked out, and you learn as much from those as you do from the successes, probably more actually. But what I would also say to somebody who's looking at whatever their career options are, if you can find something that you're naturally gifted or good at and you enjoy, then it doesn't really feel like work, Angel. It doesn't really look like you're going to a place of employment. You're going to do something that you enjoy and that you're naturally good at. That's not always easy, but the people who I come across who are happier and enjoy their work-life balance most also enjoy the work part of that work-life balance. It's not just trying to find the downtime.
Amazing audience, you're hearing it live here from Nick Bramley. Again, he's the guy building stronger, more profitable businesses and events. Nick, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Nick,
oh, wow.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
Earliest childhood memory, actually, my father used to work on the river in the north of England, and we had a very strong shipbuilding industry at the time. And I remember him taking myself, my brother, and my mum onto a little tugboat for the launch of a really big oil tanker. So as I remember the oil tanker slipping down the slipway after it had been the bottle of champagne had been sort of smashed across its bows to launch it. And that hit the water, and our tugboat bouncing like a cork along the River Tees. I remember that vividly, actually. It was exciting, it was interesting. This oil tanker was huge, and we were just a little bobbing cork next to it. I must have been maybe about 5 or 6. I'm assuming I had a life jacket on, but I don't know. I'm assuming I did. I can't remember the life jacket, but I can remember the incident.
How old do you think you were? 5 or 6? Well, you said that, right?
Yeah, maybe 5 or 6. Probably 5, I think.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
Well, it was something very unusual. It was something quite big in terms of not just the physical aspect of it, but being out on the river with my family. It was something that we all sort of experienced together, and it was just a once in a lifetime. I've never done it before, and the shipbuilding industry doesn't exist anymore where that was, unfortunately, through industrial decline. But yeah, I just think that stuck with me. It always has done.
How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
I love water, Angel. I absolutely love water. When I'm on holiday, it'd be nice to be in the Caribbean Sea, as you say now, but I'm always in the water, in the pool, in the sea. I've always been, a strong swimmer. I respect the water because it's quite dangerous in terms of if you don't do that. But I've always loved water. I've loved outdoors, and I think that's part of it, really.
That's intriguing. Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind with that memory?
Absolutely.
Nick? I love let's do metaphorically looking at the picture, right? I love the idea of the water being the experiences of life, and then the two boats, one being a huge ship, if you would, and then the small boat having the opportunity, like the consultant, if you would, the consultant who is not the owner of a huge business, but has the opportunity to help build that business and then ride alongside that business, simulating the experience, but showing the importance of the small strengths then, and how they can then reflect into these bigger strengths to create even more. So to see you being that guy now as the consultant for bigger institutions, it's pretty cool to see that picture for me.
Wow, that I'd never thought of it in those terms. That's a fantastic metaphor. That's very insightful, Angel. I might use that.
I think it's yours, my friend. It is yours.
Thank you.
Well, if we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
When I was 12, that made me Sitting on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding.
Oh, I love it.
I used to love that song.
It's amazing how these things connect, right? Like,
sorry?
It's amazing how these things connect. The name of the song, Sitting at the Dock of the Bay, the earliest childhood memory, the boat coming out. It's just pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if the water thing is a constant there, but I love the sort of, well, just the soulful delivery of that. And Otis Redding's got a fabulous voice, and it was an early memory of I think it was the first 45 single that I bought, actually.
Wow. All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
Nick, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Unfortunately, yes.
What about screen time? The phone and or the computer, is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Or less.
Nick, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Nick Bramley, what would you say that is?
Nike have stolen it because it's just do it.
Love it. Nick, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I'd just like to share the fact that if you have an ambition to do something, go and try. Failure's not a problem. You don't learn anything by not trying.
Love it. Nick Bramley, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you, Angel.
You're welcome.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.